Welcome back to Distorted Opinions. I'm Kayla, and this week I'm joined again by Quicia, and we're coming into this once again without well, I was going to say without a topic in mind, but we do have, I think, a starting topic, and we'll kind of see where things go as we progress here. So
it's because I'm really interested in knowing how this went.
Yeah. So I think I actually mentioned this the last episode that you and I did together, that I was talking about Ted's dad, Ned, had invited me to go on the New England Triumph, what do they call it, like a driving tour a few weeks ago, and that he had mentioned this group that he's been playing with called the Guitar League. And it's basically a group of people. You can attend the first one for free. And then after that, you can either do a pay as you attend type of deal, or you can sign up for a yearly membership. But it's a group of people that get together with their acoustic guitars, and it's a 2-hour session. The first hour is a guest guitarist who comes in, plays some songs, talks about their equipment, answers questions. People can check things out. And then the second hour is everybody breaks off into groups, and it's kind of broken down by playing level. And you just play a song, basically. And so at the point that this drops, it's going to have probably been a few weeks, but as we're recording this past Tuesday was the August Guitar League meeting, the Central Mass Guitar League, and so Ned and I went out to that. We carpooled, talked about guitar on the way, got there. They had the guest guitarist, I guess, is the guy who was running the advanced breakout session, but he moved to the Cape, so now he's going to be probably not as frequent at those meetings. But
excuse me, moving to the Cape, my goodness.
Yeah, right. Little bit of a drive. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if this guy gigs regularly. If he does, I'm sure he's going to have no problem finding plenty of places on the Cape to be able to play his guitar. But yeah, it was really interesting. So the guy had, I don't remember the exact model of the guitar, but it immediately struck me as interesting because I've never seen anything like this before. He called it a Chet Atkins. It was a 1982 Chet Atkins Gibson. I probably should have looked up the model, but it looked like a classical guitar at a distance. However, it was thinner and apparently is heavier than a Les Paul. And if you've ever picked up a Les Paul, yes, Les Pauls are pretty heavy. I guess it was basically solid wood. And then to make things more interesting, I thought he had classical strings on it, and apparently he didn't. He had some sort of hybrid fingerstyle strings, which I've talked about this. We did an episode toward the end of last year where we talked about acoustic guitars. We did a gear talk, and then we did an acoustic favorites episode. And the gear talk, I think I mentioned acoustic guitar is not one of my strong points, and it is very different playing an acoustic guitar than it is playing an electric guitar. And I think one of the things I had said in that show, and Ned reiterated this when we were driving home from the Guitar League meeting, that playing acoustic guitar really makes you a better electric guitar player because you're forced to play clean because you can't hide sloppy playing under a bunch of effects. Acoustic guitars are generally a little bit harder to play because the strings are heavier. I mean, I haven't played my guitar in, well, not true. I played for a very little while last night.
I saw a video of you playing at some point. You were, oh, come on.
Like a month or two ago.
Oh, that's still pretty recent.
But that for me is like, I'm one of those people, if I don't play regularly, I lose the progress that I've made very quickly. And so like I was away last week, and then I've just been busy in the evenings, and that's the only time I really have to play guitar. And so I haven't had time to play. So I hadn't played any guitar in probably a month and a half or so, let alone playing acoustic guitar, which I haven't picked up the acoustic in, I don't know, I'd say it's probably been like 5 months at least since I picked up the acoustic. So the other night we broke off into these breakout sessions, and by the time I was done playing for an hour, my fingers on my left hand were killing me. Oof. But where I was going with that is that acoustic guitar is not my strong suit, and I mentioned this on that episode that we did on acoustics. And so, you know, one of the things that I kind of hope to get from attending these Guitar League sessions is a little bit, I guess, more knowledge of, you know, techniques on an acoustic guitar. Not to mention, it was fun just to get in a room and play with other people again, because the last time I got in a room and played with other people was March of 2020, and we've talked about this on other episodes when Ted had the last jam session, which actually is no longer the last jam session. He had one a couple months ago, but I couldn't make it. So it's been since March of 2020 since I've played with other people. And then prior to that, I had only just started attending the jam sessions in December. So, and I don't think we did one in February. So I did December, January, March, three jam sessions. I had just gotten back into playing guitar, and then COVID came along and pulled the carpet out from under me, and I have not played with other people. So it was fun to get in a room and play guitar with some other people. But, you know, I'm hoping that it'll give me incentive. And I know this is, and shout out to Ned, because I'm sure he's probably watching or listening to this. I know that part of his goal in inviting me to these sessions was to give me some motivation to play the acoustic guitar more. So, you know, it was really interesting. I really enjoyed getting to see, I think the guy that played, I think his name was Steve. I'd have to go look. They have a Facebook page, Central Mass Guitar League, and they posted some photos and videos from the other night of his performance. But, like I said, the guitar he had was really interesting. He had it's obviously an acoustic electric, although I kind of feel like it's more electric than it is acoustic, because given what he said about the weight of it and the fact that it was very thin, I almost feel like it really, in a lot of ways, is not a whole lot more different than if I had showed up with my Parker Fly. Like, it's an electric guitar that can sound like an acoustic, but as soon as you unplug it, it's not an acoustic. And I feel like, you know, I didn't hear this guy play his guitar not plugged in, so I can't say for sure, but I feel like, just given what I know about it, I feel like it's more electric than it was acoustic. But it was a very cool sounding guitar. Very cool looking. I've never seen anything like it. I don't know anything about hybrid picking strings.
Right? Where to begin?
Yeah, I told Ned, I said, I'm still trying to figure out what type of plain old regular acoustic strings I like, because I've kind of figured out at this point in my life what I like for electric guitar strings, but acoustic guitar is really a new thing to me. And when I decided I was going to finally play my dad's acoustic again at the end of last year, I kind of went to social media to be like, hey, people who play acoustic, what do you recommend for strings? Because I don't even know where to begin. I don't know what brands.
Say? What did they have to say?
Well, the internet was a little bit all over the place, as it usually is.
It usually is. But did they pull through a little bit? They did anything? Okay.
They did, yeah. So I ended up getting a few different types of strings to try out. I got the Martin, was it the Custom Lights? I forget exactly. I'd have to dig out the package or go look up the invoice from when I ordered them, but I put those on first. Somebody else had recommended the D'Addario, what are those called? I'm so not prepared for this. I should have opened the case and looked at what I had for strings. But I started with the Martins, and I actually found out because I had taken the guitar to my luthier to have him look at it, make sure it was all good, because it hadn't been in the case for a while, and I wanted to make sure it didn't need work or there wasn't anything wrong with it. And he had a tool that he was able to measure the strings that my dad had on it previously, and he was able to tell me what gauge they were. And I think he actually had, I think the strings I got equate to 9s in the electric world. And he was like, these would be probably 13s, which I guess 13s equate to 10s in the electric world. So, and that was another conversation actually that Ned and I had, was just because I like 10s on an electric doesn't necessarily mean I would like that gauge on an acoustic, because it plays very differently and because the strings feel heavier on an acoustic. It makes it like if you want to be able to do any bit of bending on an acoustic guitar, the heavier gauge of the string, the harder it's going to be. So I'm still on the Martins right now. When it's time to change them, I'm going to try out the D'Adarios and see what I think of those. And then Ned gave me a suggestion for another type of Martin string that I can try. And so I'll probably pick up some of those and give those a try at some point. But I'm still very much in the like experimenting and trying to see what kind of strings I like on an acoustic phase.
And that should be fun.
No, it is. It is. I don't play enough to wear through the strings quick enough to need to change them, and I don't want to just.
We need to like plan a show for you so you have something to work towards. So like, let's just like pan this out. Like, let's work out something where we can
concert
get you going.
On the cul-de-sac.
Look. Let's talk about it, okay? Like, I think we have something magical happening on a cul-de-sac somewhere in the middle of Massachusetts, where we can have we can have Ned. Let's bring Spitfires while we're at it. Like, let's just have it all. Daryl singing. I mean, we can really capitalize on this idea. Because there aren't many concerts happening. And I think, especially with COVID, I honestly think people would really enjoy it.
Yeah. No, I agree. I mean, I don't know if this group does a performance at any point. That's not something that I actually thought to ask him.
You can be a performance.
At this point, I'll just take going once a month and playing with other people and working on improving my skills as progress.
Think about it though.
Yeah, no. I mean, so the whole reason that a few months ago I started picking the acoustic back up in the first place is that we were trying to figure out a way to do some sort of outdoor socially distanced jam session, because everybody was getting really eager to be like, hey, I miss playing with other people.
It was like people were jonesing. People were like,
yeah. I mean, you should have seen when the vaccine came out, and it was like everybody in the jam session groups,
everyone was sprinting.
Yes.
Everyone who was really like needing some social experience was like, I need this now.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. So yeah,
now that all of you are good, like.
I don't know if anybody else is still playing acoustic though, because the acoustic jam session never panned out. And then now that we can do regular jam sessions again, I feel like the acoustic thing just kind of went by the wayside. But I mean, that doesn't mean I want to give it up, because like I said, and like Ned told me, playing acoustic improves your playing as an electric guitar player. And I'll tell you right now, I mean, again, I talked about it in our episode on acoustics. I started on an acoustic when I first started playing guitar, and the first time I picked up an electric guitar after months and months of playing an acoustic, it was like a hot knife through butter playing an electric guitar on my fingers. Like a drastic difference, because you build up a lot more strength in your left hand. You learn to play cleaner. It's a very different technique. And so, that in itself is kind of enough incentive for me to want to play acoustic more. But also I've been kind of trying to listen to a lot of songs and be like, look for songs that have some cool acoustic parts that might be interesting for me to learn. And actually, the guy that was performing the other night played Sultans of Swing, but in a finger style, which was really cool, because I've never heard it play that way before. And he played a few songs actually that were kind of like, boy, I wouldn't have imagined hearing this on an acoustic. And so even that aspect of it, hearing somebody else play acoustic and play songs that you maybe wouldn't have imagined hearing on an acoustic guitar, that's pretty cool too, because it kind of motivates you to be like, okay, well, that's not a song I've heard on acoustic, and that's not originally played on an acoustic, but he's adapted it for acoustic in a really cool way, and it kind of gets you to think about like what other songs could you potentially do something like that with those songs. So I don't know, it was really, I had a good time. It was a lot of fun. I didn't really know what group to break off into because I'd never been, so it was really hard to kind of say like, okay, where's the beginner level at? And then Ned was running the, I think they called it beginner intermediate, which is like more advanced beginner and intermediate. And then they had the advanced group, which was being led by the guest's guitarist because he normally would have led that group anyway. So I ended up kind of going off to Ned's group because I'm like, all right, I feel like I'm beyond beginner, but after watching this guy play, I don't think I'm qualified to play in his advanced group at this point. So I'm going to go like kind of in the in-between here and see how I fit in. And I guess it's kind of the same people who generally break off into that group every month. So yeah, I don't know. I'm looking forward to attending next month. It's given me some motivation to pick up the acoustic again and start learning some more songs, because when the acoustic jam session didn't pan out, after that I was pretty much like, yeah, I learned some songs on it, but it was like, well, if nobody's really doing this acoustic jam session, then why am I going to learn all these acoustic songs to not like do anything with them? And that's, I mean, the same thing applies even to songs on electric that we've talked about doing at the jam sessions, because there's been so much time, and it's like at a certain point I go to myself, is anybody else learning these songs, or is anybody else gonna know how to play these songs by the time a jam session rolls around, or am I wasting my time learning how to play these songs if it's gonna be all these other songs that we normally play? So, and I seem to have a very short memory these days for like, I learn a song and if I don't keep playing it regularly, it's out the door within a short period of time. So yeah, I really need, like, I'm the type of person that I need, if I got a list of songs that I gotta play, then I'll learn them and I gotta play them fairly regularly. But also I'm not in high school anymore, so I don't have the kind of time I had in high school to just play guitar all the time. So yeah, that was,
those were the days, weren't they?
Yeah, they were. Yeah.
Well, listen, you know, keep it in the back of your mind, you know, just throw it out there. If you ever find yourself in another jam session, just be like, yo, listen, I have this great idea, like concerts on the cul-de-sac. And like, what we're going to do is like, we're all just going to have acoustic guitars. We're going to put up a stage and like, you know, we'll find somebody to, I don't know, fry some corn dogs and like, we'll string some lights. Like, we got this.
Well, I know Ted wanted to try and get the same, like, as many people as we could from the jam session group. I don't know if it would have been everybody who normally attends, but he wanted to get a group of us together to do a show down at the Phoenix in Shirley. But I don't know if the Phoenix is ever going to reopen again, because I can't figure out if they're permanently closed or if they're just, like, I know at one point they said we're closed until we know that things are not going to get closed again, because we can't afford to close, reopen, and then have to close again. That makes sense. But then I've had people tell me that they're closed permanently. So I don't know if that's true, but I guess they used to have bands play on Fridays or Saturdays or something like that. And Ted was thinking, oh, maybe we can put together a set and we can learn a set of songs and we can go play down at the Phoenix sometime. So I don't know. We may be looking for a different venue if the Phoenix didn't
that'd be something to
close.
look into. Maybe they just need some fundraising. And there it is. A little fundraiser event outside. See, I got you guys.
There you go.
I got you guys. I'm on it. I'm on it. I really like, it's like talking about, you know, how like concerts are now in flux again. Like they're on and off, depending on where you are in this country. Like it really does change. And I don't know if it's fair to say like, I get the idea. I get the need to have to like shutter, because that's just such a tough decision to come to. And it is very, it is back and forth. It's like some days it's great, some days you're looking at the news being like maybe not. But I think it's fair to say that if a community like ours really got behind protecting and saving somebody, I think we could figure it out. I think we could make that work. Like I want nothing more than we could make outdoor venues happen. And it seems like at this point, we're ready to make them work in the wintertime if need be, because people are fed up that they can't do stuff.
Right.
Fed up.
Right. Yeah, for sure. No, I agree. Yeah, I'll just be happy, when I can attend a jam session at this point. But that was the biggest thing for me on Tuesday, was just the fact that I could go sit in a room and play with other people. Yeah, exactly. So, if nothing else, there's that aspect of it, but also it motivates me to work on my technique and practice a little more, and maybe
that power of collaboration just is so awesome.
Right. And it's motivating to see someone else play. And it's cool because it's not like your standard going down to the Bull Run or something and watching a concert. It's you go watch another guitar player play. They're there to perform, but they're also there to tell you about their gear, to talk about their gigs, to talk about, all these different aspects of being a guitarist and presumably a performing guitarist. And so there was a lot of really cool stuff. He was talking about some of the pedals that he had, which pedals for acoustic, a little bit different than pedals that you would use with an electric. Like, you're probably not passing that through a Boss Metal Zone or something and adding distortion to it. But he had a cool looping pedal that he had drums programmed into, so he would play along with these looping drum tracks, and I was like, well, that's kind of cool. And apparently you can do all sorts of different things with this looping pedal if you want to get more into how to program it. Like, you can actually have it do like openings and closings. He wasn't really using it in that way. It was just like a abrupt end, and somebody had asked him, is there a way to program it to have an actual closing to a song as opposed to just having it abruptly end? And he was like, yeah, you can do that, but you have to do a little bit more work to do it. And I guess if you've got a tablet, you can somehow have the tablet communicate with the pedal to do MIDI configurations and stuff. And so it was really cool. And I was thinking,
so helpful for, I'm sure, if like a solo artist or someone just trying to experiment in various like little spaces. If they can't get an entire ensemble of artists, then here this person is like, well, I got this. Right.
Exactly. You don't need to have a band because you can have this programmable drum kit that actually sounded relatively decent. Because when I started playing guitar, they had drum machines and stuff. They probably still make them that sound very much like a MIDI drum machine, like computerized, not realistic at all. In fact, I don't know if we've ever talked about this on any of the episodes, but the intro for Distorted Opinions. So the drums on that are actually GarageBand drum loop.
Wait a minute. Time out.
Yeah.
Pause.
Yeah.
Double pause. Pause. So, first of all, I find it really interesting that you've not talked about your intro whatsoever. One. Two. I love that it was done on GarageBand. I love that. Music can be made anywhere with anything. So that is fantastic. But I'm hella surprised that that didn't get brought up at any other point.
We may have brought it up.
Anniversary? Did you, fun fact, did you know?
So I feel like we did bring it up once, but I don't remember what episode, and I don't remember how in depth we went as far as the process of that. In fact, I actually, when I recorded the guitar parts, I filmed myself recording them thinking that, because my coworker at the time, Tara, shout out to Tara if she happens to be, like, if Tara hears this, it's probably because she's in the office and this is running on the channel and she's walking by and she sees it, but I highly doubt that's gonna happen. So, and also shout out to Tara. She helped me like make our intro video much flashier than what I had originally edited, because mine was like a very basic cut of all the footage and she put it through Acid and basically made it look like crazy insane like it does. So Tara, it was like, well, if you're recording this theme song, maybe you should film yourself recording it, and that could be some sort of a segment on your show, or you could use that for social media or something. So I don't know if I kept it, but I had footage of the whole process of me recording the guitar parts that I was planning to put something together, and I never did anything with it. Like, I even kind of narrated it a little bit and was like, all right, I'm about to do this part of the song or whatever. Probably not that great, which is probably why I didn't do anything with it. But
it's a good little outtake. Save that for later.
I'll have to look and see if I got the footage. If I do, maybe I'll throw something together and put it on social media. But yeah, I mean, there was a lot of conversation about, like, well, if we're gonna do a show, maybe as musicians we should make our own theme song. And so Ted actually came up with the basic like beat, rhythm, chords of the song. The problem was that we don't all have access to the necessary equipment to properly record the music. And so, like, Ted, I don't think had, well, actually, Ted might have been able to record drums if he wanted to put all of the mics that he has in his basement together in such a way that he could have recorded the drum kit. But it got to a point where it was like, we need a theme song, and we needed a drum track. And I had never really used GarageBand. And so I was like, well, I really don't have anything else that I could record the guitar parts with. Although it turned out I did, because through work we had the Adobe Creative Cloud subscription, and they have an app called Audition, which is an audio recording platform, and I had not used that at all. I've dabbled in it a bit more since. In fact, if anybody is watching or listening and you saw on our social media the promo that I did for the movie soundtrack episode with the Top Gun theme. Yes, so I actually recorded that using I recorded that using Audition. But our theme song, because I didn't know about Audition, I hadn't used it before, I was like, all right, I know I have GarageBand on my computer, and I know you can use that to record, so I'm just gonna check this out and see what I can do with it. And I had played with GarageBand, but it was a long time ago, so there was a bit of a learning curve there. But I was kind of listening to some of the drum loops, and I'm like, well, these actually sound pretty realistic, and you can do a lot to customize and change the tempo and the fills and all kinds of different things to really make it sound different depending on what you're looking for. And so I was like, all right, I found this hard rock style drum loop, and I was like, all right, well, I'm gonna see if I can get this to work with what Ted has come up with for the chords. And you may not know it by listening to that, and if we touched on this in another episode, we didn't go this in depth, so no, we are going.
This is all new. This is all very new.
Yeah. So I probably should have put the disclaimer, although you've probably figured that out by now, that I am not an expert in recording music.
Kayla is spilling all the tea about this, and I love it. Please tell us.
If you're curious about our intro, if you did not know, like if you don't watch the video version, if you've never seen the credits at the end of the video version that says that the theme song was written and recorded by myself and Ted, Ted played the bass, and I laid down all the guitar tracks, and the drums are GarageBand. And there's, I don't know how many layers Matt ultimately used when he mastered that, but I must have laid down 6 different guitar tracks for that because I did there's different octaves of the riff. So if you listen closely, you might be able to hear some of that, but I don't know if he used all of what I sent him because there were a whole bunch of tracks there.
Okay.
Like I had to play this thing I don't know how many times. I played it on different guitars, which is the other probably funny part. If I do something with the video, it's like I laid down all those different tracks playing different guitars to give it a slightly different sound depending on what part I was playing. And so it was a process. I learned a few things about what not to do when recording music, and I learned a little bit about GarageBand, and I learned that there's a lot of stuff that you can do with the built-in loops there. And so I think part of where I was going with that is that I kind of realized, like, yeah, the loop pedal is great if you're playing out somewhere, but you probably don't need that if you have a computer and you're just playing at home, or even if you've got an iPad or an iPhone that has GarageBand on it. Yeah. So, you know, anybody could record using if you've got an iPhone on GarageBand. I had borrowed a mic from work at the time. I had the podcaster from the office, and I put that in front of the amp, like a little bit away from it. And so I didn't record, you know, with the built-in mic on a phone or the built-in mic on a computer or whatever. So that, you know, I did have a little bit of equipment, but it was an issue of not everybody had access to the necessary equipment to be able to record their parts well, I guess, or like high quality, because we wanted it to sound good.
Yeah, the way you would like it. That's understandable. Yeah.
Right. The intro, we were actually going to also use footage of all of us for that. Like, but the problem is, if you don't know me, I'm kind of a stickler about consistency and quality. And so it was like, well, if I'm going to film all of the guitar footage and the amp footage and stuff with my DSLR, and then you guys are going to film your footage with a phone and maybe not the same kind of lighting and stuff, like that's not going to. So I was like, I'm just going to go grab some cool looking stock footage and we're going to put this thing together. And so, like I said, I did a very basic cut and I sent it to Tara and I was like, what do you think? And Tara was like, let me play around with it a little bit. So the next morning I wake up and she's got a whole new version for me that's got all these cool effects and stuff. And I'm like, oh man, from now on, I'm sending you the footage when I want it to look cool, because my edit was basic and this takes it to a whole new level.
Thanks, Tara.
Thanks, Tara. So yeah, there's your in-depth look at the intro.
I like that breakdown of the intro. In case you weren't
aware that, because if you've never seen the video version, you may not be aware that that's not a stock song that we went and grabbed somewhere. That was an original intro.
So for all of you who are only listening, what you should do is go right on over and go watch that intro. Just say a little plug. You know, I'm sure she'll put it somewhere where you can just go see it if you're watching. But if you're listening, go see it. It's on YouTube.
And while you're there, subscribe to our YouTube channel, because we're trying to get to at least 100 subscribers so that we can get a custom URL. So
you guys can
hit the subscribe
this.
Button.
It doesn't really cost you anything. You just press a button. Right. That's it.
You just need to have a YouTube account. And if you got Gmail, you probably got a YouTube account already.
Most likely.
And who doesn't have Gmail these days?
You were probably on YouTube at some point today. Let's be real. It happened. Right. So just go over, search Distorted Opinions, press the subscribe button. Just do us a favor. We appreciate it.
Please. Yes. So check out the intro if you've never seen the video version of the intro. Tara put that together. But yeah, if you've never seen the video version, you've never seen the credits at the end that say that song was written and recorded by Ted and myself. So there you go. If you've just been listening this whole time and you had no idea, that is not a stock song. We wrote that specifically for this show. That is an original piece. And actually, I think the original was a minute. And everybody was like, that's way too long for an intro. And I was like, that's fine. I recorded extra. We can cut it down. Better to have more than not enough. Okay. So that original intro, and I probably still have all the tracks somewhere, is much, much longer than the version that we use every week in our opening and closing of the show. But
wow.
Yeah, so there you go. I don't even know how we ended up in that. I think it was off the looping pedal thing, went into the GarageBand explanation, but yeah, there you go.
So kids, if you haven't learned anything, if you don't have a looping pedal, just make sure you use GarageBand. Also, if you want to be a better guitar player, play acoustic. I think these are great lessons.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, I'm telling you, I started on an acoustic and it made it a whole lot easier for me when I switched to playing electric and I finally was able to buy an electric guitar. And then I really haven't picked up an acoustic very much since I picked up an electric, but I have a lot of respect for, I've talked about this on other shows, jazz guitarists.
Yeah. Oh man.
And acoustic guitarists, which I kind of put those two in the same sort of category because, again, with jazz guitar, there's not a lot of jazz guitar. I can't think of a single jazz guitar song that has distortion in it. Mm-hmm. It's all clean guitar. You have to be able to play cleanly because if you can't, it's going to be noticeable. And jazz guitar has a very different tone too. That's like, I have a really hard time trying to get a good jazz sounding tone. Mm-hmm. And I'm sure it's just that I'm like not using the right settings on my amp, or maybe I just don't have the right type of guitar for that. Or I probably somewhere in my collection do have the right type of guitar, but I'm not using it. I have a tube amp, which probably has a lot to do with it too. I don't know that a lot of jazz guitarists use tube amps, but maybe. But yeah, it's jazz guitar and acoustic guitar. You have to have a certain level of skill to play either one of those and play them well. And so, you know, if you're looking to better yourself as a guitar player, I say pick up an acoustic every now and then and try that out because it's going to give you a very different experience than playing an electric, and you can't hide sloppy playing behind effect pedals and stuff. So yes,
go for it.
Lessons for guitarists. So
that's great.
Yeah, so that's my my happenings for the week. We'll see, you know, next month. I've already got the bug to start picking up the acoustic again. I really wanted to play last night, but I actually had to edit the last episode that we did because I went away and I hadn't done that yet. So didn't play much acoustic, but I had a few minutes of downtime this afternoon. And if you're watching the video version, you may see that the acoustic is hanging on the wall behind me here. Took it out of the case and was playing it earlier. It's back on the wall for now. And hopefully I'll have some time tonight. We'll see.
Yes!
But yep. So I feel like there was the one other thing I wanted to mention. Yeah. You'll find this funny. Okay. So Ted and I did a show. At this point, it'll have dropped, you know, a few weeks ago. And we talked about cool album covers and album art. Was a suggestion by Jack from Jacketto Picks, that particular topic. And we had talked about the Nirvana Nevermind cover.
No, you didn't. No, you didn't.
Have you heard about that?
Yo, this mess has me feeling sideways. Okay, like this whole thing. Because like this kid, I remember when this kid like recreated some of these shots like years ago. Okay, like, so a couple things. Sorry, I got to get on the soapbox for a quick second. First of all,
go ahead.
First of all, he's like 30 years old now, I think. And I'm pretty sure that if he was really adamant about his feelings and emotions, this could have been voiced at, I don't know, 19, 20, 25, 26, 27, 28. It's been some time. I'm sure there's going to be like some statute of limitations on some of these things. But that's the first thing. Two, doesn't he not have like a tattoo of Nevermind across his chest? Wait a minute. Okay, so you've profited off of this too. So like, and didn't your parents, I am so upset about this. I apologize, ladies and gentlemen. But like, your parents had to have made a decision to take a photo of you that young. I'm not saying that how you feel is valid, but to go as far as to try to sue folks, like me personally, start with your parents. Start with your parents, go to the record label and keep going if you so choose. But it seems like maybe not, you just need something. And at that point, do a GoFundMe. That's my soapbox. I'm off of it now. Come after Kurt Cobain after he's been done in the grave for how long? How dare you? But again, I understand you can feel this way. How you feel is valid. No one can take away your feelings. But if you're going to go as far to sue somebody, start with the people that made the decision to put you in the video, which are your parents.
Well, not only that, though, like, you basically said everything that I was thinking, because I'm like, okay, the guys recreated the album cover as recently as I think I saw 5 years ago.
So this is he's done this a few times.
And there was an article in the New York Times in 2016, and he said, it's cool but weird to be a part of something so important that I don't even remember. And the picture in that article was him at 25 holding the album in his hand, standing next to a pool. And, my first thought when I heard this was, why isn't he complaining to his parents about the fact that his parents, because he was 4 months old, his parents are the ones that gave the approval for this, but now he's claiming, well, they, didn't cover up like they said they were going to, and this is child pornography.
That's a very strong claim. And it's like, again, if this is what you say it is, you need to put that energy towards the people who made that decision. If you want to talk about people who wanted to profited off of you, they were your parents. Mm-hmm. Your parents got paid.
Yeah. He's got points, but I feel like why is he waiting until now?
He's 30 years old and got some bills in the mail. I don't know.
He's an artist living in LA.
It's gonna be a tough argument. It's gonna be a tough argument. I'm gonna be waiting to hear what happens with popcorn and all the tea. But it's so weird, and that is hilarious though that you guys talk about album art.
Literally, we just talked about it.
That's so good.
And this happens.
It's a very iconic cover, not gonna lie, but I think it's been explained that it's been about like capitalism, like it's been about how we're all jonesing for the dollar right when we come out. Right. So like that part has been made clear and aware and isn't in the ether of this album. So it's kind of weird to be like to stamp that label across it now when it's been so established that this is what it is, and you yourself have tried to, hang on the coattails of its success as well for this amount of time. I think it's going to be a tough argument. I don't know. I started texting some of my law buddies to see like how they feel about the situation, and all of them have some very strong opinions that they would add to this argument. So. Right.
Yeah. How many people too do you think honestly see him on the street and recognize him as the baby from the Nirvana album cover?
Unless you know who he is.
His lawyer says he hasn't met anyone who hasn't seen his genitalia. It's a constant reminder that he has no privacy. His privacy is worthless to the world.
Yeah, but I don't know, like outside of...
So, if I saw him on the street, I don't think I'd know who he was.
Dude, you're not that famous. You're not that famous. You're not that famous. You're not that famous.
He's apparently seeking $150,000 from each of the 15 people and companies named in the complaint, including the photographer who took the picture.
And like, isn't Courtney Love in there somewhere? Like,
oh yeah, probably. Kurt Cobain's estate is probably part of that, but Yeah, I don't know. I thought it was the timing. Like, this happens a lot where we talk about something on the show, and then a week or two later, something happens relating to what we talked about, and it's like, oh, well, that's good timing. If we had just been like another week after and doing the show. So when I saw this come up, I was like, oh, you're kidding me.
That is hilarious. That is really hilarious timing.
Yeah. Well,
yeah, that.
I'm glad to hear your thoughts, because I thought it was kind of insane, but I haven't really talked to anybody about it. So
my sister texted me about this. Like,
oh, really?
We are upset about this. Yeah, because it's so bizarre. Like, it's so it feels out of left field. And on the one hand, you don't want to, like I said, you don't want to downplay any like serious allegation and how someone feels, right. But what I struggle with, what I think a lot of people are going to continue to struggle with, is how much you profited off of this. And it's not like they were forcing anything. Like, you're doing this.
Right.
You're revisiting this every time you repost an image of yourself. Yeah. Every time you're holding up the album cover saying, this is me. Like, you're trying to promote your own celebrity. And now you're saying that this has happened and you've always felt this way. But it's like, but when did you start feeling this way? Why?
Right. Because he could have just not ever like brought it up again, said anything about it, and people would have just been like, "Oh, well, there's the baby on the Nirvana cover." Like, I don't know, maybe it's just me.
That, but like, where's that child at? Like, that's not the thought. That's not a thought.
Right.
My thought is, man, that was a good album.
And that's an iconic album cover, you know. But yeah, I mean. It's funny because I also heard, I was listening to The Pike this morning, and Mike Shue was talking about, or maybe it wasn't this morning, maybe it was yesterday. He was talking about this, and then he was taking like comments from listeners on what they felt were some of the most controversial album covers of all time, which led to some other discussions about like Van Halen. What album was that? The Van Halen album that has 1984, was that the album that has it's like a cherub smoking a cigarette.
Oh, okay.
But people, apparently that caused a lot of controversy because people think it's a baby smoking a cigarette.
Yeah.
Although I don't know that it's actually, I think it's a painting or a drawing. I don't know if it's actually modeled off of a real person anywhere, but it seems like there's less controversy about that than there seems to be about the Nirvana album cover at this point. But that was one that came up, which I had kind of like not even thought about.
I didn't think about
But yeah, there were some other covers. I don't remember offhand what they were, but I thought it was kind of an interesting topic of discussion that they were, people were kind of commenting on what they felt were some of the most controversial covers since this whole thing with the Nirvana album cover, which is not what Ted and I were necessarily discussing. We were just discussing memorable and like, some cool
real iconic
album covers.
Yeah.
Right.
And then this dude just had to go and just muddy the waters with his failed attempts at celebrity. Okay.
Yeah.
Not wanting to give this man any more space before he tries to come after more people for $150,000, acting like he's gonna get it. Anywho.
So.
Like, do the math. I'm sorry. Wait, hold on. Do the math. Real quick. If he comes after like 9 or 10 people, he coming at like
15 people.
15 people
at 150,000.
Look, he's trying to be settled.
$2,250,000.
He's trying to be settled in LA. He's not trying to leave. That's what's happening. He don't want to go home. A lot of money. He don't want to. That's it.
Need a lot of money to live out there.
No kidding. And that's like, I don't even know if that's gonna cut it, dude. Like, if we're gonna be real. Like,
yep. So yeah, that's I just wanted to bring that up because that was kind of fresh on my mind, the latest in news, and kind of timely considering Ted and I literally just talked about that album cover a couple of weeks ago.
We'll see. I'm sure we'll find this is going to go on for some time. So it'll be good.
There'll be more news developments on that front, I'm sure. It'll be interesting to see whether or not he gets anywhere with that case, because I don't know. I feel like he doesn't have a leg to stand on at this point, because he's over the years promoted himself as being the Nevermind album cover baby. So I don't know. It'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to see. But on that note, unless there's anything in particular you wanted to talk about this week, we could probably go into our song of the week, which my song of the week will not be Nirvana. But before we do that, I'll just give the usual spiel, which is that we have a Spotify Song of the Week playlist, and we put all of our picks in their entirety into that playlist every week. You can find the link in the description of every episode, or if you're watching the video version, we also have a Spotify scan code that we put up on the screen. You can use that by opening up the Spotify app on your phone or mobile device and tapping on the little camera icon in the search bar and holding your device up to the screen. It'll scan that code and take you right to the playlist. We'll be adding this week's picks as well. And I might kind of break tradition this week, because typically we will let the guest pick more than one song.
Oh.
And I was prepared to pick one song, but then as I was picking my one song, I heard another song and I was like, have I ever done this as a song of the week? And we're still kind of in summertime, and I feel like this one kind of fits into that summer songs playlist. So I'm gonna do two picks this week. Nice. We'll do the summer playlist pick first, which is Nothing But Thieves Trip Switch off their 2015 self-titled album Trip Switch. I really didn't know much about these guys. They're apparently a British alt-rock band. This song, I only heard it, I think, maybe last year. So I feel like this happens a lot. I hear a song and it turns out that it's been around for 5, 6, 10 years, and I'm just now hearing it for the first time, and I'm like, what rock have I been living under? Yeah. So I heard this song on Sirius XM Alt Nation, which I've talked about in other shows. Great station. I love that station. And also, we had Ray and Joda on the show back in January, and I don't know that Ray's doing a whole lot of streaming these days, but at the time he was doing weekly drum streams on Twitch. And Ray is a big fan of alt music as well. So I would sometimes get onto the stream before the heavier crowd showed up and request a whole bunch of alt songs, and this was one of them. And so like Ray and I would often exchange like cool alt songs. There were a couple other people in the chat, but great song if you haven't heard it. I don't know why I think summer when I hear this one too. It's a really cool song. It apparently was in EA Sports FIFA 16 soundtrack, which judging by the comments on the music video, that's apparently how a lot of people heard this song.
Yeah, it's crazy how people get introduced to some music sometimes. One of them being video games.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we've talked several
about it,
You've been on a couple of them where we've talked about video game soundtracks, and this apparently was on a video game soundtrack. I've never played the game, but apparently a lot of other people had, and that's how they discovered this song. So if you haven't heard it, it's a really, really great song. Check it out. Trip Switch by Nothing But Thieves. And then the song that I was originally going to pick, because I heard this on the radio this morning, and I was like, well, I haven't heard this one in a while, and this one's good. Journey, Wheel in the Sky, off of 1978's Infinity. And it's got a really cool intro. I actually thought the intro was acoustic, and part of the reason, so I added this to my own Spotify playlist because I was like, oh, I'm gonna have to learn how to play this. This would be a cool one to play. I actually don't know that it's played on an acoustic now that I've been looking at tabs and stuff, but I mean, I feel like you could.
Yeah.
I talked about the guy who played Sultans of Swing, and that's not an acoustic song. So it's got a really cool intro that I thought was acoustic, but is maybe not. It's got a really awesome guitar solo. Who doesn't like Journey? I mean, come on.
You're a monster if you don't. You're a monster. You're legitimately a monster.
Journey is, I love Journey. They get a lot of good songs. This song and this album in particular apparently marked a turning point in the band's sound where they started getting more of an edgier hard rock sound than some of their previous stuff. The song started out apparently as a poem titled Wheels in My Mind, which was written by Diane Valery, the wife of Journey bassist Ross Valery. And it's about a man not having been home in over a year, and he's attempting to return home to reconnect with a girl that he knows. And I don't, as I've mentioned before, pay much attention to lyrics, so the only thing I knew was the wheel in the sky keeps on turning, but I've never paid attention to any of the other lyrics, so I had no idea that's what the song was about, because my focus is always on the guitar and the instrumental part. But it's a great song. I'm sure unless you're a very young person, you've probably heard this song before, but if you haven't, check it out. Journey's Wheel in the Sky and Nothing But Thieves by Trip Switch, and those are my 2 picks for this week.
Shout out to Kayla for having 2 picks finally. That's awesome.
Breaking the tradition here.
Yeah, breaking all the rules. Just
I couldn't
rogue.
pick just one. It was really hard. I'm like, I already had the notes for Journey, and then I was like, ooh, Trip Switch came on my playlist next. And I was like, oh, this is a good one too. And I looked through the spreadsheet, and I'm like, oh, I haven't picked this one yet.
Nice.
Screw it. I'm doing 2 tonight.
Good for you. Good for you. I applaud you. I'm glad that you're still feeling summer. I mean, I'm feeling, it's been super hot these last couple of days and slightly swampy with all the humidity. So for me, like, I have 2 feelings. One that's like, part of me does not want summer to, I never want summer to end ever. Cause it's like one of my favorite times, my favorite seasons. But then football season is happening. We're in preseason. Like, things are happening. Like,
I got fantasy football starting up here. Actually, Paul just pinged everyone on the fantasy football.
It's a thing. Yeah, like everyone, we ready. Like, we ready. We ready. Anyways, so we ready for this. And I was thinking, like, I'm in the zone. NFL zone. My place of employment has a fantasy football league, and I am totally joining because there's no buy-in, but you can get all the rewards. So anyway, that'll be happening. But I was like, when I'm just thinking about like football vibes and like songs that like get us going for this season, I had to give it to Let's Go by Trick Daddy and Lil Jon. And this is the one where they sample Crazy Train by Ozzy.
Oh, yeah.
So I was like, I feel like no matter what channel you're turning on, no matter what game you're watching, this track always shows up. Always. Because everybody's saying, let's go. Everyone. And when you hear it, if you haven't heard it, or if you think you haven't heard it, chances are you have, because it's literally a part of every game. But yeah, so this is like one of my, NFL season has officially started. This is what we're doing. So now I'm like knee deep in like getting ready for fall, and like I need to wear all my jerseys, all my flannel. I need to be cozy. This is happening.
Right.
So I don't want to lose summer, but at the same time, this needs to happen.
Yeah, I mean, I'm more of a fall person myself, so I could do with some cooler weather.
Right. So but this is I think we all can agree that we want it to be pleasant outside during the daytime, and we don't mind a slight chill at night. So like, hopefully September gives us that like sweet space where it's like, all right, it's nice during the day, a little chilly at night. That's fine. But then we all know what's happening later on this year.
Yeah. I saw a meme somebody posted on Facebook, I think a couple of weeks ago, that was like, because there had been a meme circulating that was like, all of these people complaining about the heat clearly have never been in band camp before. And I saw somebody recently post another one that was like, yeah, no, I think we can officially say that it was never this hot during band camp back in our day. And somebody commented and said that they looked up somehow the temperature during one of the days of their last band camp, like maybe 10 years ago, and the high was 86 that week or something. Right now, every time I've gone out and looked at the weather station that I got outside for the last week or so, it's been like 96 degrees, feels like 114.
Yeah. I'm telling you, it feels moist, swampy. Tropical is not enough. Humid. Because like there's no tropical breeze about this. Don't tell me tropical. This feels like a swamp. It feels like we're in the middle of the forest and there's all these wetlands, so it feels like a swamp.
Well, we've had a ton of rain too.
That too. A couple
there's been a ton of rain. Yeah. Oh God. Yeah. No. We had a ton of rain, and then we've had heat. So it's just been humid and disgusting. And I'll admit, I have not really gone outside of the house if I don't need to. I haven't been. I bought rollerblades. For those of you who don't know, I bought rollerblades a few months ago, and I was being good about every evening going out and rollerblading and getting outside and getting some exercise. And the last few weeks, I mean, partially because of the fact that I've been busy, I can't play guitar, I can't rollerblade. But also the heat is like, it wouldn't matter if I went out there at 8 o'clock right now. It's still like 96 degrees and humid and disgusting. So, and the bugs come out at night and the mosquitoes have been off. Anyway, I've digressed. I've digressed into another show entirely, but yeah, hot and humid. Fall's coming up. Hopefully fall will bring us some slightly cooler weather.
Just a little bit more pleasant. We're not asking for much. Just pleasant.
Yes. Football season's always something to get excited about. I'm sure at some point here we're gonna do a show on football music.
You know it'd be cool to talk about? Who do you wish would play if you had to build your favorite like halftime set though? Not like who's most likely to do it, blah, blah, blah. But like if you had a dream set, like who would it be and what would they play? That's a good one.
Ooh, that is a good show.
That's what I want to listen to.
We got to note that. I think actually we did have that as a potential show topic, but so somebody had suggested that actually to Ted, but when they suggested it, it was like the week before the Super Bowl as a Super Bowl episode. And we were at that point so far ahead that it was like, oh, there's no way we'd be able to get an episode about halftime shows recorded and out for this weekend. So that's on our to-do list for this next Super Bowl, so we'll have ample time.
Tee it up and like go for the gold. Like don't only talk about your favorite like set who would play halftime, but like who are the teams that are gonna go? Like make it like make it like a little competition.
Okay.
Me making a little Game of Thronesy for you guys, so I can just sit back and watch.
Sounds good. I'll add some notes for that episode.
I really just want to watch the banter that happens when y'all decide who's playing and who's going and who's doing the Star Spangled Banner, who's doing America. Like, I need to know all of that. Like, really go in.
I got thoughts on that already. I don't think I should share them because I gotta save those for an episode.
Keep it for the conversation. Keep it for the chat room. Keep it for the chat room.
Will do. But yeah, on that note, I think we're probably approaching an hour here, so this might be a good time for us to wrap up. But as a reminder to our audience, if you've got an idea for a show topic, or if you'd like to be on an episode, or if you're a local artist who's got a song or an album out and you'd like us to give it a listen and talk about it on the show, reach out to us and let us know. There's a few ways you can do that. You can leave us a voice message on our Anchor page at anchor.fm/distortedopinions. You can also find links to our social media platforms and a partial list of all the places that the show is available in audio-only format. If you don't see your favorite platform listed, just search for Distorted Opinions. We're probably on there. And if we're not, let us know so we can work on getting onto that platform. You can also send us an email, distortedopinionshow@gmail.com. Leave a comment on our social media profiles. Like we said earlier, head over to YouTube and search for Distorted Opinions and hit the subscribe button on our channel. We release all of these shows in video format. Sometimes we do a little bit of show and tell here, so you get to see some things that if you're listening, you would miss out on them, although we do try to be descriptive for our audio-only listeners, but we do put out a full video version of the show over on YouTube that you can go check out. So just search for Distorted Opinions over there and hit the subscribe button. With that, thank you for tuning in. Keisha, thank you again for joining me this week.
Always
we had
a pleasure.
some fun conversation again, and I look forward to hanging out with you again soon, and we'll see everybody next week with an all-new episode. So we'll see you then.
Bye.